All right, welcome to another episode of the Frags and Beer Radio News, our Tuesday show where we talk about the past week in geek news, movie news, comic books, games, whatever we feel like talking about. This week's going to be a light show. It was a light week, but there was a pretty big movie release, and there was also a little bit of news. We covered a little bit of it on Monday, but I tried to stay away from some of the stuff I wanted to talk about tonight. So we're going to jump into it real quick, but I'm going to warn you now, and we'll warn you when we get started. When we start talking about X-Men Apocalypse, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen it yet, you might want to wait and watch our recorded show that will be up on YouTube later. I am joined, as usual, by Russell Michaels. Welcome, Russell.
Hello.
And we don't have a guest tonight. Like I said, it was a light week, so it's a light show. So we're just going to go
Mhm.
ahead and jump right in. The little bit of, I guess, geek news, so to speak, besides the movies this week has been a little bit about Captain America, and it was the big news, and then there was some stupid little news. The group of people that want Captain America to have a boyfriend, and it's
If we're being honest, they're both
yeah,
stupid.
they're both very stupid for different reasons, and you know what I get where people are coming from. They want to see more gay characters in the Marvel universe in the movies, and sure, I agree, but there are over 100 um, gay characters in the Marvel universe, if I'm counting right. If
What's the biggest one though?
North Star is probably one of the biggest ones that I can think of right off the top of my head. I'd have to go through the list. A lot of them, there are some pretty popular names on there, and I suck with names, so trying to remember is tough.
Any? Well,
Um,
remember, any of the X-Men are not owned by
right, and
Marvel,
they
so
could show up in the Fox universe, but we could do a quick search, and this is what kills me is the people doing this can't even do a quick search. But I mean, you're talking right off the
it
top
wouldn't make sense. That's the
for
problem.
Captain
It wouldn't
America.
make any damn
Absolutely wouldn't
sense.
make sense. But you've got America Chavez. You've got from an odd Earth. You've got James Howlett, so the Wolverine from a different Earth. Jessica Drew, um, Bobby, but he's already under the um, Fox franchise. You've got Julio Richter. You've got Brian Falsworth, who is not Captain Britain, but he's similar. You've got Hercules. Um, like the list goes.
Wait, they made Hercules. They turned Hercules
Hercules
gay.
is
When did that happen?
bi, and which he's, I mean, from
Oh,
mythology, always has been. Hercules will,
I didn't know that. I guess I didn't delve that much
dude
into
will go
Greek
after
mythology.
anything walking, is pretty much how they've made
Oh,
Hercules. So,
oh, oh, that kind
you
of.
know,
So more of an not choosy
right. He
necrophilia.
likes
No, not sorry, a
he
nymphomania.
yeah he likes to get it on, and he doesn't really have any qualms about who he gets it on with. But the list goes on, and I absolutely get more representation for gay characters in the Marvel universe, Fox side, Disney side. um, but let's talk about getting these characters who are already written gay, who are already in the universe gay, um, and bring them in to the movie side of the universe. We don't have to rewrite, a 70-year-old character like Captain America, and completely change his background for the sake of representation. Let's get in these characters who we know are gay, and who have been that way in the Marvel universe for a long time. I just googled gay Marvel characters, and there's a wiki page that is 10 pages long of pictures with characters from all the different Marvel franchises and universes and alternate realities. And some of them are characters that, are not gay in Earth 616, but they are in a different Earth. So, point being,
It wouldn't make
right.
sense. That's the first
Yeah.
problem. The second problem is why, and the second is I don't really, and the third was I don't really give it. I don't really
Yeah.
care. It's just it's not gonna. It's likely not to
No.
happen, and it doesn't matter how much they want it to happen. It's probably not gonna
No.
happen. What they more likely do is one of the characters who hasn't gotten their own movie yet might get introduced, and they might explore that character and make it gay.
Right.
I mean, they might make Black Panther gay. I don't
Yeah.
know because Storm's not in this universe,
Right.
so he doesn't have his wife in the comic books isn't going to be presented.
True.
So they could turn him gay if they wanted to. It wouldn't matter.
Yeah, it's just it.
But Captain America's established, and how many side girlfriends? I mean,
Exactly.
he
And
is Agent Carter, and now he's got Agent
yeah,
13.
and the big issue I guess I had with this actually more than anything else what spurred this is how everybody has seen Bucky and Steve's relationship, um, and to me it really makes it difficult. Like the question is, why does every close relationship between two male friends have to be gay? Why? I mean that's one of the things that makes it difficult for men to show affection to each other, because just being close to another guy and people go, oh, those two must be in a relationship, they must be gay, and it's like, not that anybody, not that, not that I would be scared of that perception, but why does that have to be the default perception of two guys who are close friends? If I
And then there's the people who think Poe Dameron should be gay for some
yeah,
reason.
and if he
I
is, he
mean,
is, and if he's not, he's not. He's a brand new character, and it doesn't really matter if he is. But the same thing that comes from the perception between how people saw the interaction between him and Finn in the movies, and there was nothing romantic about that interaction, but because
it
it's
wasn't.
yeah,
He likes Ray a
yep,
lot.
it's two guys who happen to be close and they bro hug, so all of a sudden, oh, we got to put him in a relationship. That just
Poe Dameron probably has a family that we haven't met yet. That would be my guess on.
yeah, and I haven't read a ton about him. I've read the adaptation of the movie, and I've read the book about the three main characters right before the movie, and nothing is mentioned about their sexuality or allegiance at all for any one of those three characters. So I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like I said, it keeps promoting the idea that two guys can't be really close friends or can't show affection with each other without people thinking that they're gay, and that's not going to affect everybody the same way, but it is going to affect some people that way, and it's going to keep people thinking, well, now I can't write two male characters who are best buddies, because people are going to think they're gay, and that's not the kind of perception you want. Whatever, those kind of stupid things. So yeah, it's dumb.
Yeah.
It's a dumb idea. It's a dumb movement. They're
Can we move on to the dumber
absolutely
story?
the dumber
There's
story.
Significantly more meat to it.
Significantly dumber is, and this is, we talked about this a little bit on Monday's show because I wanted to rant about why I gave up my subscription to Marvel Comics completely on Saturday. I made a huge step. Over 20 years I've been collecting comic books because I saw the panel where Captain America said "Hail Hydra." And yeah, so Marvel has decided that these 70 years since 1939, 1941 or 42
that he's been hydrating the entire
that he's been
time.
hydrated, yeah, the whole time.
So yeah, because he's apparently stopping their plans all the time as part of their
Right.
plan.
Yeah, because he's he's playing the slow, like the really slow, really slow, fucking slow game. Like, come on, people. It's just Marvel again, because we know it's going to be temporary. We know in a year, or by the time the next Captain America movie comes out, they're going to change it all back. But that's the thing with Marvel, is they have this trend, and they've been doing it for, I would say, the last 5 years really hard, but maybe the last 10 years or so. They change something huge for sales, and then they change it back 6 months to a year later.
Yeah,
And,
like they killed off Captain
Yeah,
America after Civil War.
exactly.
In the comic books. And then he was alive, like a year
Yep.
later?
They killed off Peter Parker by having Dr. Octavius take over his body, and then they brought him back.
No one dies in comic
Nobody
books.
dies.
No
in
one
comic
dies in
books.
comic books.
And
anymore.
there's a reason that happens, but to me that reason is lazy. The reason it happens is because these are company assets, and when a writer takes on a book, say it takes on Spider-Man, he has an obligation to return Spider-Man in the same condition that he received it, because it's not just a character, it's a company asset. Makes sense to a point, but what that creates is an environment where readers don't care about that character anymore. We know Spider-Man can't die. So every time you write a Spider-Man story of Spider-Man in danger, we really can only care so far because Spider-Man can't die.
Yeah.
They've left Jean Grey dead, but they keep bringing different versions of Jean Grey back. Scott's dead right now, but we've got a young Scott from the past in X-Men. Logan's dead, but then we have Old Man Logan from an alternate future. So they just can't make that brave step and actually kill a character and leave them dead, which I think honestly would do Marvel a lot of good. Wolverine's my favorite Marvel character, hands down. I will collect anything with Wolverine on it. Kill Wolverine and actually do it. I'm saying that from somebody who has been reading Wolverine comics every month for the last 20 some years. If you really want to make that brave step and make an impactful story on people, kill him. If you really want to make an impactful story on people with Captain America, they should have left him dead after Civil War. Thor loses the ability to wield the hammer. That's a great story concept, but stick to it. Don't be cowards and change it back. But that's the kind of the thing with Marvel, and that's what made me jet. Is I'm tired of going back to them and giving them money over and over again and saying, well, in 6 months they'll change it back and we'll be back to normal. Well, in 6 months they're also going to try to come up with a crazier story. Oh, Captain America is Hydra. Well, in 6 months, oh no, he's a triple agent. He's not really Hydra. And 6 months after that, what? Is he going to be, working for the Skrull? Is he really going to be a secret Skrull sleeper agent? How many times do we have to keep getting hit by Marvel before we just say, I'm done with this crap? And yeah, I'm pretty passionate about that because it's, like I said, I gave up something that's been a huge part of my life for a long time. And you don't read comics, but
it's incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
It's just incredibly stupid. I read a lot of Wikipedia because I like characters a lot, so I know the characters a lot, but I don't read the stories as much. It's just painfully stupid.
Yeah. And it's...
I mean, why? Why? Why would you do that? It makes no sense.
Absolutely. And the response has been... Chris Evans tweeted about it, couldn't believe it. It's been people that are involved with the cinematic universe and the TV universe, and people who are playing these characters are pretty shocked that Marvel actually went this route. And new fan, I don't know, they think it'll inject new money into it, and the problem with that theory is it was fans like me that kept buying. It was people that have been collecting for 15, 20, 30 years that keep buying. These new kids that they bring in with these flashy stories, they don't stick around unless you deliver on that amazing story. And you make Captain America a Hydra agent, that might bring in some new readers who are like, well, what's this all about? And then in 6 months you change it back, they're just going to bail because they're going to be like, well, that was stupid. Why did you do that? And then why didn't you stick to it? And they're going to go to something that's more impactful and more lasting, like a six issue run of an Image comic that's open and closed story, and all the characters die, because that's what you do in a story where you really want to make a difference, is you encapsulate that story and it's done. So I don't think it's going to have the benefit, like we were talking on Monday with Stoic writer Justin, who does comic reviews and writes for Metal Eater, and he had a lot of figures where tens of thousands of units dropped in sales between a lot of these books started, like when the all new Wolverine started and Thor started. Thor went from 100 just over 100,000 sales the first month of issue Thor 1, and now she's selling just over 30,000 units a month. I mean, that's the trend right there. That's the new money that you're trying to get in, bailing after 5 or 6 issues, and the old money, the people who've been collecting forever, that just ditch because we're tired of this. We're tired of this garbage. So yeah, Marvel, dumb idea, man. Dumb idea from people who read comics and people who don't. This is stupid. It really is, and I think you're going to lose a lot more than you gain on this one. God, I read a story, and I wish I could verify it, so we're taking this with a grain of salt, but a guy wrote in to I think it was a forum on Marvel, or he wrote a letter to Marvel and posted it online, but he basically said that my son came to me, and his son's got the Captain America sheets and loves Captain America from the movies, and Captain America is his hero, and he read the latest issue of Captain America 1 and was just in tears because his hero is a villain. And this father says he explained it to his son by saying, no, Nick Spencer, the writer of Captain America #1 is actually the Hydra agent trying to convince you that Captain America is a bad guy. And I thought that was brilliant. Even if it's not real, that's brilliant, because to tell a kid that no, the writer is trying to convince you, trying to turn you against your hero, because in a way that's what it is. That's, to me, it's Nick Spencer's a very political guy. He's very liberal. He's very he's in the camp that probably viewed Captain America as some sort of jingoistic, flag waving, conservative, all-American racist Republican. And so he's tearing apart that American icon that's been around for like literally 70 years. One of the first Marvel comics was Captain America, written during World War II. And he's just tearing apart that icon for his own, to make it his own political platform. And it's just disgusting. As much as it is stupid, it's disgusting to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it on the light news. If that was light. But so we both saw X-Men Apocalypse. What's your initial thoughts? How did you feel about that?
It's a B movie. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Not as much as Civil War, obviously.
Well, yeah.
I did enjoy it a lot.
That would have been a hard one to top.
Yes, it would have been.
So how would you put it though in the Fox realm of things? Because we got to be honest. Comparing the Fox Marvel movies to the Disney Marvel movies, outside of the exception of Deadpool being like he's way outside the norm when it comes to what has been delivered outside of the Disney franchises. Where would you put it with all the other Fox stuff?
It's below X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past, which I think are actually my two favorite X-Men movies.
Yeah.
That are the team movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you there too. I did.
I like the original X-Men.
I did too. I think it's because that was our first glimpse of actually seeing live action X-Men on the screen. So that's always going to be kind of special, I think.
But to be perfectly honest, I'm not a lot of people love X2. I'm not the biggest fan of X2. I find it a little bit. I just don't like it as much as everyone else.
Yeah,
does.
I was kind of. It was a sequel, and a lot of it suffered from the same thing a lot of sequels did. It just, it just wasn't quite as good as the first one. They were trying to top the first one, and I think they fell a little flat. I'm with you. I didn't like X2 as much, and obviously X-Men United was trying to tackle too big of a story for one movie with the kind of talent that they had. It just wasn't there. It just couldn't do it. But I thought that was funny because do you remember the line where they came out of seeing Return of the Jedi? All the kids run off to the mall, and they come out of Return of the Jedi, and they're like, "Oh, it's not as good as Empire," and blah blah blah. And somebody goes, "Yeah, it suffers from the same thing that every third movie does." And they were taking a jab at X-Men United, but it's funny because it wound up, they opened themselves up to that joke against themselves too, because to me it did suffer from the same problems as almost every third movie of a series, that it just was trying to do too much to top the previous two and didn't focus enough on being its own thing, don't you think?
Yeah.
Definitely thought that. And you say you did like Psylocke?
I did.
I really, that actually all of the Horsemen, I was really disappointed with all of the Horsemen except for Magneto, and I'm not surprised that Magneto did so well. But Archangel is one of my tops from that era, and he was done so poorly. And Psylocke just didn't. She had no, she was cool. Her costume was great. The effects were awesome. The sword choreography was fantastic, but she was so lifeless. The act. I don't know if they told the actress to act like a robot, but to me, she just came off so. She just didn't have any emotion there at all, and that has never been my perception of Psylocke from the comic books at all. So I was kind of surprised by that, but I did like how they did Storm. I thought Storm was really good. I just didn't like her as a horseman. If she had been on the X-Men team, probably would have had much different perception as far as how the actress did. I think she did fantastic. It's the best Storm. I never did like Halle Berry's Storm. I really liked how this girl did. I think she did a lot better job bringing Storm to life, especially a younger Storm, which I thought that was really cool. Though, and I'm gonna have a hard time remembering his name. The guy that plays Apocalypse. Oscar Isaac
Poe Dameron
did so good.
He's also Poe Dameron.
Yeah, right. The guy that played Poe. He did really good. He stole damn near every scene he was in, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
like that was great. So yeah, what were your biggest I guess beefs with it?
I didn't really have one. It just wasn't as good as, it's in the B range. It's definitely better than Batman vs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, well, I don't really have that big of a problem with it. I just feel like it wasn't a caliber.
Yeah.
There's just it's like little things. Not like, I can't even really think of any little thing, but it wasn't as good. It was highly entertaining. Yeah. It just wasn't amazing.
A lot of little things. Do you think it would have been more beneficial if it had either been a trilogy that culminated? Because I think that's one of the things that's helping MCU. Not that they need a lot of help, because they've got so many other great shining things going on with the entire Avengers franchise, even the solo films right up into the team films, but they're tying all those together and building it up into the large. I mean, we're building to Infinity War with almost every single movie right from the get-go. We're setting the stage for Infinity War with all of these movies, and it seems like the X-Men movies are trying to do these huge X-Men stories. Like Days of Future Past wasn't huge; that was 2 issues. But every time Apocalypse steps onto the stage, whether it be Age of Apocalypse or what was the one in the early 90s, and I can't remember that one, where Apocalypse, like every time Apocalypse steps onto the stage, it's a very big story. It's very huge. It's very drawn out. And I really would have liked to have seen them do the same thing with this. They needed really to build to Apocalypse, because it's such a huge thing. Like, there should have been more hints about it in the earlier films. There should have been more tie-in into this in the earlier films, and they tied the characters together. Like, the interaction between Magneto and Xavier in all 3 films has been brilliant. Like, it's probably the best part of all 3 of these movies has been the interaction between those two and their story, which is key to the X-Men's entire mythos, is these two sides of the same coin. But I really think they would have done, like, this movie was trying to pack, I think, way too much into the movie. And I think that's the biggest reason it suffered, is it just put too much into one movie, and I think they would have done better in it. And unfortunately, did you stay for the end credits?
Yes.
So that seems to be
Mr. Sinister. They're gonna do Mr. Sinister.
Yeah, and I thought that too, but I'm not sure, because that corporation name was
Essex Corporation. Is Nathaniel Essex? That's his name.
Yeah, I know.
They're going to do Mr. Sinister.
I hope so. But Essex Corporation was also made up for the movie. Like, Essex Corporation doesn't exist in.
It's just the name. It's just the name, and because.
And they.
Of all the villains they can do after Apocalypse, the only one that can really work is the only one they could really do is Mr. Sinister.
And from what I understand, though,
or they go to
this
the
is going to that end credit scene is supposed to tie into the next Wolverine movie, not so much the next X-Men movie.
So they're likely doing X-23.
Yeah, good chance of that. Or, I mean, Wolverine's DNA has been used in a lot of different projects over the course of the years. So, and that was just.
We're getting clones. We're getting clones, because if they're doing Essex, they're doing Sinister. He's known for making a lot of clones.
Right,
and stuff.
And they only got one vial out of that lab, but that case had several vials in it. So, not sure. Somebody hinted that we might see the Reavers. We might see X-23. We might see them rehash late.
Where they go to space.
Yeah, like yeah, somebody wants the X-Men anyway to go to space, which might help, might not. I know that next, I mean, it's pretty clear that they want to touch on the Dark Phoenix saga again, which, if they
Yeah.
do, for God's sake, don't make it one movie. Please don't make it one movie, because the Dark Phoenix saga is huge. It's too big. It They tried it with X-Men United and it flopped. It was so bad. It did not do that story any justice whatsoever. And if they try that again, I'm afraid it's just going to be so freaking disappointing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the movie was good. I really enjoyed it. So through the end credit scene, most people have to look it up, especially if you really don't read the comic books.
Well, I didn't know what it was until I googled it
Yeah,
later that the Essex Corporation was Mr. Sinister. But there's certain villains I want them to do in movies, and there's certain areas that are interesting. Right. Mr. Sinister is definitely one of them. I want them to do Mojo World at some point. Mojo World would make a really messed up movie.
Yeah, it really would. I think
because Mojo is a creepy.
Oh yeah, character. Absolutely.
The spineless ones. I mean,
and I think that. Oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. Mr. Sinister would be a good one. There's a few others that they could do, but unfortunately, without taking Magneto away from the X-Men, they're going to run out. Fox is going to run out of stuff for the X-Men to do because they really only have a license on mutants. So anytime they touch anything outside of that, like if they wanted to go to Mojoverse, they would have to fight Marvel for that because they're not mutants, So
Longshot was a member of the X-Men.
He was, but he's not a mutant, and that's the line that's been drawn, is because that's why they couldn't call Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch mutants in MCU, but they could still use them because they were part of the Avengers at one point, but they couldn't call them mutants because they don't have the rights to that name. So I'm sure it goes the other way for Fox. I'm sure Fox only has the rights to mutants. So any character who's not technically a mutant, they're probably going to have to fight for it. And so if they they can't touch the Sword organization, which is the intergalactic arm of S.H.I.E.L.D. They might be able to go for Shi'ar, but I don't know. That'd be a hard one. Mojoverse, definitely. I mean, they're not mutants. They can't go after those, and they only have a small tie-in to the X-Men for a good portion of that run. It's gonna be difficult for them to justify doing a lot of villains that are going to top Apocalypse and Mr. Sinister. Unless Magneto just flat out forms Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and has a knockdown drag out with the X-Men. Like, I'm not sure what else they can really do beyond those two, because Apocalypse is the big one. Apocalypse is the big baddie, as far as the X-Men's Rogue Gallery go, and everything under that is, I mean, they're all small time under that. There's not much you can...
They could also do the Age of Apocalypse storyline, which has a lot of characters.
Yeah,
basically, they end up traveling to the world that got taken over by Apocalypse.
Right. Yeah, and that would be a good one to do. And they could they could go to the future. They could bring in Rachel Summers and Bishop, and they could do future stuff.
Nimrod.
They could go into the Alpha Flight stuff for the Excalibur spinoffs. I mean, they could go into those things, but again, they're going to run into what villains do we throw at them that are mutants too, because that's where they're really limited, unfortunately.
There's also Master Mold. Didn't Master Mold and Nimrod get combined into one guy because they went through the Siege Perilous? I can't remember. Bastion was his name.
Sounds right. Yeah, that sounds right.
Somewhat human, and then he wasn't really human. It was confusing. Yeah. He's an interesting character. I'll say that.
There's a lot of those, especially early '90s and before late '80s, early '90s that I was hit or miss on because I didn't have the money to collect every month. When I was a kid, so I didn't have everything, and I missed a lot, unfortunately, of some of those good years. Wolverine losing his adamantium, the Age of Apocalypse run, so a lot of those key stories in the early '90s, late '80s that I missed because I didn't have the, I didn't have the money to buy comic books as regularly as I do now. but yeah, now that money's going somewhere else. I'll be watching the movies until they screw those up too. But I'm
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna screw up.
not for a while at least. I think Disney's definitely smart. I mean, they've been around a long time and have been successful for a long time. I don't look for Disney to screw it up anytime soon. I actually think the superhero craze will die out before Disney fucks up any of the movies. Then they might just, when it dies out, they might just milk it for all it's worth and then just make a bunch of stupid shit just to push movies out just to get people's money until people just give up and stop going. But yeah, I don't look for them to really screw it up anytime soon. So that's about it. I mean, that we get to watch some of these old stories and some of these old things we read about before Marvel started to flow down the shitter and see how that goes. Yeah. So, final verdict. See it in the theater, you think?
See it in the theater.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's worth seeing.
I would agree. It's a big movie. Lots of good special effects and good scenes that are great on the big screen. We didn't see it in 3D. Did you see it in 3D?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, we didn't either. I'm not sure I noticed anything that would have been drastically changed.
The scene with Magneto moving the stuff around.
That would have probably been very cool.
That might have probably been really cool. I imagine the slow motion scene with Quicksilver probably would have looked really cool.
Yes, I agree. There would have been a couple of good scenes where 3D would have made a difference. But overall, I don't think there wasn't a lot of depth to every scene like we see in some 3D movies where they bring in a lot of different levels and depth and things. But yeah, I would agree. Go see it. I think you'll enjoy it. I'll have it on Blu-ray, I'm sure, and I'll watch it more than once. But yep. So that's pretty much it.
See it more than once.
That's pretty much it. Anything you want to cover yourself, sir?
There's not a lot of stories I can think of that have happened last week that are really worth talking about.
Yeah, not much.
We really kind of talked about
We got TMNT coming out over the weekend.
And Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping.
Okay, so that's coming up. You're going to hear some talking in the background right now. Unfortunately, my son. And what else? He said Doc Savage is being worked on with The Rock.
Yeah, The Rock.
And the Shazam movie is delayed, right?
It's apparently being delayed, which it was probably the DC movie I was most looking forward to because The Rock's in it.
Oh, that's right. He's in that too.
He's Black Adam. Black Adam's one of my favorite supervillains.
That's right. I remember seeing that now. Boy, that guy's busy. He is busy as hell.
He is. There's a lot of things.
Yeah, and that's it. Did you see? I saw the poster. There was no trailer for Doctor Strange. That's looking like it's going to be pretty good, coming soon.
Of course, there was a trailer for
it. Not in my theater anyway.
Well, you've seen the trailer.
I have, yeah, but not. I didn't see it Sunday when I went to see X-Men. I saw the poster for it. That's looking good. We got that coming soon. So yeah, still big year for us geeks. Still some great stuff. So looking forward to it. But I think we dragged out the show probably longer than we had content for. Thank you for watching. It was a light week, light news, and one movie to cover. The show will be up recorded as usual, and join us next time. We will see you all later. Have a fantastic week.